Kóczé, chair of the Roma Studies program, and we just watched this really important documentary film which is titled Unprocessed, and it was made in 2022. And the film director is here with us, Máté Fuchs, and the documentary, as we already discussed and watched as well, it's about the memory of the Roma killings of 2008 and 9. And the film, actually, it's really interesting because it's very much inspired by the theater group, which is called Romano Teatro, based in Miskolc. And they followed the rehearsal and performance of the play in the Hungarian National Theatre. And basically, with the play, they commemorated this horrible event, and the title of the play was The Smile of the Hate. And meanwhile, we just heard so many people who talked about the racist events, like journalists, sociologists, who happened to be me, and some other important figures. And also, as we already discussed, that it's really interesting to watch this film in such a way that we know that a very much similar event happened in Austria in 1995, when 4 Romani persons were killed in Oberwart, and actually that was very much a racist killings as well. And also, it's very interesting, but maybe we're going to talk about it later, that in Austria there is a very famous play, right, which was directed by Alfred Jelinek. Do I pronounce well? My Austrian colleagues. And the play was titled Strecken, Staben, Stango, and which also helped to work and process this kinds of social trauma what happened in Austria. So we have Máté Fuchs, who is a director. We have Aladár Horvath, who is the president of the Roma Parliament, and also was a member of the Hungarian Parliament at the beginning of the 90s. And I'm really glad that he did that. And he was one of the most articulated person actually in Hungary who criticized the Hungarian government as well as the police force who failed to investigate this case. And also we had Manuela Horvath, who is Oberwart, who is a member of the Oberwart City Council, and she's the leader of the Romapastoral service, and maybe Manuela. I'm not sure, but as far as I know that some of your relatives died as well in 95. So thank you. And I really hope that you will tell us about the fact of this horrible event in Oberwart as well as in Austria. And also we have Petra Ivaverovic, who will play a really important role because she will translate from Hungarian to English, as well as she tried to translate from German to English. But if you will need help, then we have a wonderful student, Lavinia. Okay, so why don't we start with a reflection? So, what do you think that, we watched the film as well as we went through this kind of, dramatic experience. What would you say? So how the Hungarian society reacted and how the Hungarian Roma society reacted to this event? And also I would like to ask Manuela that what happened in Austria in 1995? So how the political elite, how the society, how the Roma community reacted to this event? Who would like to start?
Manuela, so before the film you said that the settlement of the Roma is a little bit outside of the town Oberwart, and I like to talk a little bit about the situation of the Roma in 1995 in Austria, in Oberwart. So the settlement was outside. There were 19 houses in this settlement, and in 19 houses lived 120 persons. So the members of the settlement have the feeling that somebody hanging around in the night. So the four friends go out at night and to look to see somebody. And also in this night they go out, and 140 meters from the last house of the settlement there was there was a board, and on this board was written "Roma go back to India." And this board was a bomb. So the four boys which take this board, and this board is sorry. The next day, one member of the settlement, Roma, found the four men, and then the police come. But not only the police come, there are very many journalists at the settlement, and they wanted to take photos and wanted to take interviews. And for the police, there was also the first time that they have that situation that four people died and nobody know what happened. The first they said they shoot down without handgun. And the question was about the political.
Yeah, like the reaction.
Okay. So the interest about the Roma was very big at this time. So few days after the bomb attack, the Austrian chancellor comes to Oberwart and visits the families of the victims and go to the bomb attack place and took flowers there with us. But at the first time, so the first day, the police don't say it was a bomb attack. They don't know anything. And what I also like to say, on the day after the bomb attack happened in Oberwart, 50 kilometers from Oberwart, there was another bomb. And this was a village from the Croatian minority in Austria. And one man were but injured by this bomb. Yeah? And on this time, the police said it was racism attack, and all minorities in Austria were warned by the police. And so at this time, then came the chancellor and the political interests about the Roma.
I'm sorry, my biggest handicap is the English is very poor. Szerintem egy nagyon fontos filmet láttunk, és az eredményei mellett azt a szempontot szeretném felvetni, ami nem kapott elég erőteljes aláhúzásra megerősítés.
Yeah, I think we saw a very important film right now. I want to talk about what was not
I'm sorry.
underlined.
Sorry for interrupting,
It's
but
not loud enough.
a bit
Okay.
louder.
Yeah,
if
I tried to.
possible. Or
Sorry.
if there is a
So
mic
I
or
think
something.
we saw a very important film right now, and I want to talk about the things which were not underlined enough.
Szerintem itt egy politikailag motivált bűncselekmény sorozatról volt szó, több szempontból is.
Okay, I think it was this whole murder series was politically motivated.
A náci terroristáknak az volt a tervük, hogy a gyilkosság sorozaton keresztül egy polgárháborút volt.
So the Nazi terrorists planned to start a civil war with these murders. A civil war.
Azért gyilkoltak ártatlan cigány embereket, mert azt gondolták, hogy ekkor a társadalom, roma képesség, a roma társadalom föllázad.
They killed innocent gypsy people because they thought that then the Roma part of the society will raise themselves.
És a magyar igazságszolgáltatás, vagy magyar rendőrség és hadsereg pedig majd lecsapta. Ebből egy ilyen véres utcai háború.
And the Hungarian police and all kinds of forces will go against Roma, and then there will be bloody war against each other. So the Roma and non-Roma people.
Abban a szempontból is egy politikai bűncselekmény sorozat volt, hogy embereket ítéltek el, magánszemélyeket, és nem volt politikai felelősség, megállapítás, felelősségvonás. Kormányzati politikai örökről beszélve, az igazságszolgáltatás szervéről, az erőszak szervezetekről. Elhozott persze a rendőrség.
So I think it was politically motivated on the other hand because so normal civil people stood before court and were sentenced, and there was no word about the responsibility of the state, of the police force and
Criminal justice system.
criminal justice.
És a kevés szó esik ugye arról, hogy a társadalmi megmondták azt a társadalmi Angéla beszél erről, hogy nincs, nem lázta meg a társadalmat. Sem a cigány, sem a cigány társadalmat. Az egész történet.
And there is not enough word about the society being shocked. So the society wasn't shocked enough because of these stories.
A politikai és a társadalmi közönyről van szó, egy botrányos ügyről van szó, minden szempontból botrányos, a politikai része, a társadalmi része, a jogi része is.
In every aspect, it is scandalous. Like those parts of the justice part, the society part, so in every aspect.
A roma közösségben sem okozott akkora feladatot. Kóma alapján, a társadalmi kóma jelenség, állítással, elfolytással.
Okay, so also in the Roma communities, there was not enough outreach. It was like a coma. No word about it.
we just had some kind of discussion on that because I really feel that Roma community they've been traumatized as well. I mean, traumatized in such a way that they were silent, they were not able to go out and they didn't protest, but the trauma itself is basically debilitated them, I would say, and to knowing the effect and impact of trauma, right? So is you're not gonna go and do some very energetic stuff. Rather, you just gonna go back in your corner and try to digest and cope with that. And the question is that were there anyone who helped in that kind of coping? Maybe this theater helped a little bit, right, in their own small community, but at the social level, at the societal level, there were not really a huge discussions, and there were no such a play as like in Austria, which is made by Elke Jelenet, where society could have been, more active in that and talk about it.
Can I say something to the
Yes, sure.
The theatre from Anti-Roma Steckenstabenstange. It was in the year 1999 or 2000, I think. And in Oberwart there is a little cultural institute. And this institute like to show the Steckenstabenstange in Oberwart. And the Cultural Institute want that Roma pupils play in this theatre. And years before we had another theatre, and they call us and in this institute, and they say what happened in Steckenstabenstange, and they want to play that we play in this theatre. And for us Roma, for the family members of the victims, there was it's not impossible to play to this theatre, and we don't want that this theatre was shown in our hometown Oberwart. It was too much for us, and so I was 50 years at this time, and I wrote a letter to Angéla Jelenet, because I like to say her what this theatre Steckenstabenstange student us, student the people in Oberwart, because Ms. Jelenet was in Oberwart and speak with us about this things what happened.
Oh, that's a really important point. Yeah. Máté. You as a director, so what do you think, like, what kind of impact was leaving on the society? What kind of reaction was evoked by the event itself?
First of all, I'd like to thank you for watching this film and thank you for your patience. Those of you who don't speak Hungarian, I think it was a lot of reading, so thank you for that. And I'd like to hack this conversation and just ask you if you have any questions regarding the film, if you don't understand something because of the lot of reading. So if there are, just holes in the story or something like that. If you don't have any questions, I'm just going to answer.
What was it understandable?
Great.
Yes, good.
So back to your question. For this film, I was asked to do this film, so it was at first it wasn't my project. It basically asked me to make a film about, it's first it would be like behind the scenes video about the play itself. And as I said, okay, I'm just going to look into it. Contacted the group, and I talked to the leader, Horvath, as well, and I just, try to get my facts together, and okay, I said to myself, okay, I need to, just refresh my memory, because I was like, okay, I remember these events, and it's like, I know it happened, it was terrible, and so on, but as I just started to, look up, and just, and I was like, okay, don't you remember like this part, that part? And I went back to the student and I said, okay, I don't think it's a good idea to do a behind the scenes video. Let's do instead documentary. So this is how it started, because I just realized that there's a big void in our society in Hungary, because there are conspiracy theories surrounding these events that there should be like more people acting in these events, not white people were convicted, small part of society, and in the other part, on the victim side, not enough people that convicted. There should be, others. So there's really there's something that bothers Hungarian society still around these events. And as I get to this point, and I looked up, if any like documentaries such like this that have been made, and it was like the result is no. It was very clear to me that I need to do something like that, especially that I believe in that. And I really need to say one more thing, that I'm really sorry about, the video file. It's very, it's very, very, compressed, and it was like very noisy. Just screaming, so I'm
No worries.
parents, but
No.
it's my fault.
Maybe that's the last question from my part, and after that, I really would like to open, for you to ask and comment, and we're watching the film and the film silence, so it would be great to see you on the action as well. So, Manuela, you talked about how hard it was to deal with this issue in your own community, and looking into the future. So, what do you think that how could survivors, those as well, could be not directly involved, but somehow indirectly they've been involved as well, right? I'm thinking about myself as well, because truly, when we start to talk about, I just felt so traumatized as well, and you as well, and I'm sure that many of us who've been in Hungary in that time. So how could survivors and relatives of victims and Roma communities cope with these kinds of trauma? So what would you say? What is your suggestion? How should we go further? How should we move further from this point? Would you like to start?
So after the attack in Oberwart, the members of the family of the victims and also not the members of the settlement had any help from psychologists or from crisis intervention team. So we were alone with our trauma. We were alone in 1995, and we are now alone now. So every family had to handle this with themselves, and every person had to handle this with themselves. And not only Roma are have a trauma about the Roma attack in Oberwart. There are also non-Roma who have a trauma about that. And the difference between the attacks in Hungarian and in Austria was that there was one man from 1993 to 1997 who take letter bombs and pipe bombs in Austria, in Vienna, in Carinthia, in Syria, in and yeah, that was not only attack to the Roma, there was attack to minorities, to persons who helps migrants, who helps minorities. The mayor of Vienna get a letter bomb and his hand and lost his hand, and also a priest from Syria get a letter bomb because he had in his house victims from the Bosnian war, and so I think this are the difference between Hungarian and Austrian. So the Austrian society react a little bit more sensitive, more in depth. Thank you. More sensitive as in Hungarian, and yes, so my grandfather survived the Holocaust, and he always talk about how it's going on, that he survived the concentration camps, and now his grandsons were murdered in Oberwart.
Először egy picit még a traumatizáltságot.
A bit about background of being traumatized.
Azt gondolom, hogy a magyarságnak azt nyilván kisebbségen kiszínáltság Magyarországon, és erről tudta magát egyszer vagyunk elkülönítve, izolálva, és egyszerre vagyunk alárendelve egy többségi kulturális és hát a magyarság asszimilált kisebbségben.
So in Hungary, Romani people are assimilated minority of the country, and this poses a double loneliness. It means being separated and loneliness.
És az asszimiláltság azt is jelenti, hogy a cigányok jelentős része ugyanolyan közös, mint a többség.
Being assimilated also means that the main part of the majority of the Romani people is thank you as indifferent as the majority of the non-Romani people in Hungary.
Nem tudom másképp magyarázni azt, hogy 15 év után gyászszüvetséget szervezünk a mindenemlített sorba, család emlékére, és erre van.
I'm not able to find any other reasons for we are organizing events commemorating this murder series of death of this little boy and his father and 30 people are attending the event. So
A fő probléma nyilvánvalóan közösségi.
the main problem is the lack of community.
30 éve, több mint 30 éve azon dolgozunk, hogy a tudomány erősíteni. De mindenfajta állami, politikai, gazdasági, oktatási, és most történés.
For more than 30 years, we are working on Romano Teatro to get them a strong community, but all other people are against it. So the state, the political forces, economics,
social,
yeah, social.
the educational system, everything that is
Elindult egy folyamat Magyarországon, ahol a cigánysághoz való viszony az megmutatja a többség felé való viszonyban is. Magyarországon nem kormánypártiak. Azokat úgy kezeli az állam, mint a cigány.
Definitely. Okay, I'll translate.
Okay.
No, Aladár is talking about that there is a really interesting political process in Hungary. So basically, those non-Roma, like Hungarians, is supposed to be an oppositioner of the government. So they are talking against the government, critiquing them, critiquing the whole system. They are considered to be a Roma as well, at least as they treated by the government on the same way as they are treating Roma, like abandoning them, right? Segregating them, isolating them, detaching them from the system, making their life impossible.
Az következik, hogyha félmillió, 1 millió, nem cigány ember is éhezni fog, fagyoskodni fog, elviselhetetlennek fogja érezni sorsát, akkor föl fog változni a rezsimmel szemben, és megfoghatja a cigányok közé. Ha úgy, ahogy minden fontos magyar szabadságharcnak valami.
So this is a vision of Aladár. So basically, if we will have like 500,000, 1,000,000 non-Roma who will go through the same kinds of starvations, and they will be in a very same destitute situations as Roma are in Hungary. And at the very end, actually, that will be the revolt against the government together with Roma, and they will keep hand in hand and they will, go against the system and that will be the basis of solidarity.
Közös harcra, közös sikerülményre van szükség ahhoz, hogy a társadalmi szolidaritás és összefogás illetve.
That's a really good sentence actually at our university. So we need a common fight and we have the common space to be together, talking to each other. Is that not funny? And also we have to succeed together. We have to have some common experience, right? That we are watching film together, talking together, or we are doing some stuff together. We are having a fantastic seminar on Foucault together, Roma and non-Roma, and talking about the anyway, sorry, I'm just making that. No, but really, I mean, yeah, or that's what I like. No, that's pretty important. I mean, really, that's the heart of the issue. To creating some kind of common platform and talk to each other and think together. Sorry. Like, what should we do with trauma? How should we cope?
I'm a bit more pessimistic about changes, gonna happen the future, because I assume you hear and know a few things about Hungary and the government of Hungary right now, and what kind of atmosphere they are building and what they built up in the last 12 years. Before the COVID outbreak, the government had a new common enemy, autobus. So after, the NGOs, yeah, of course. Yeah, before the LGBTQ community, and as well people. If the outbreak didn't come, I don't know what happened, but they just started to target more people in Hungary. They didn't start to talk about, inaccuracy or something like that, they started to talk about we need new enemy, and yeah, they thought it would be great to choose from the inner circle from our own country. So I'm not optimistic. If they gonna run out from enemies, I think they'll go back to the topic they left behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, just correct word. Yes, that I know.
No, absolutely, and I think it was very clear. Horvath. So why don't we have some questions and comments, and just gonna collect it. We still have 17 minutes before the reception, and I will ask my colleagues yes.
Thank you very much. I have a very brief question, and I'm happy to present it in a bilingual form.
Please.
És köszönöm szépen, hogy meghallgathattam önöket. Arról jutott eszembe valami, amit Horváth Aladár mondott leghangsúlyosabban, hogy ez egy politikailag motivált bűncselekmény sorozat volt, és azon gondolkodom, mi a véleményük arról, hogy vajon a szélsőjobboldali terrorizmus fogalma az itt indokolt lehet-e, vagy az segíthet-e megértenünk ezt a helyzetet, mert a terrorizmus egy nagyon, maga is egy nagyon fajilag, vagy racializáltan, úgymond egy ponton a filmben fogalom, és a terroristákat általában magukat is úgy képzeljük el, mint akik nem a fehér rasszhoz tartoznak, hanem más etnikumokhoz. Miközben a valóságban ez egy politikailag motivált politikai szervezetekkel a háttérben lévő eseménysor volt, tehát bennem felmerül, hogy vajon segít-e megértenünk ezt az eseménysort, hogyha akár ezt a fogalmat is használjuk, hogy szélső jobboldali terrorizmus, and my question in English, please, do you this is a serious topic. Do you believe that the notion of far-right terrorism is something that is merited and something that helps us to understand this series of events even better, considering that terrorism is also itself a very racialized concept, and we imagine the terrorist as somebody who is ethnically other, but in reality this was something that was perpetrated by politically motivated and politically organized groups. So I'm wondering if the concept of far-right terrorism is even more useful for us.
Thanks. Okay, first one.
Thank you. Well, but I cannot speak Hungarian, so I would need a translator for my question. It is very interesting to see, and you are called it state violence and basically structural racism. And it's interesting to see all of these actors in these situations who have missed and done so many. Not only after the attack, but even in the investigation, etc. All of these mistakes, and I'm interested to what was the reaction of the society when that got announced publicly,
I mean, obviously we live in a physical space in the society where these gets into the news, and then obviously, I mean, in the movie it was shown how it was portrayed by the media. But what was the reaction of the people, the neighbors of these people? What were people? How did they process that? I'm not talking only about the Roma in the settlement and obviously the trauma that they had, but everybody else who lived in this country. How did they react on these? And the other question is, I see that there are people who tell the story in a different way and try to help the people to deal with their trauma. But who are the people who reacted and gave any kind of support to the people? Yeah.
Thank you.
I guess it's a comment slash question. I think observing this from a non-European standpoint is that my understanding of like the situation of Roma generally is kind of an accepted racism throughout the entire EU and not consolidated to Hungary or Poland or other places. But it's acceptable forms of racism in pretty much the entirety of the EU. And I'm just wondering, like, in terms of people that don't come from Europe, like what is the international, I guess, goal, or maybe something you'd like to see from the international community in addressing these specific issues, and like what we can do, I guess, for people that aren't coming from a European standpoint and understanding kind of these interactions. What soft power do we have to, I guess, put pressure from the outside? Because I see it work with the US, Europe as well as everywhere. But it's like we can also, I guess, minorities anyway, from a US standpoint or from the Americas can also make commentary on this to make it a bit more pressure. So, yeah.
Blanca, Opana, and who else? Okay. So my question is mainly for Manuela. Because I know, like, I know more about the Hungarian case, and I think they're rushed documentary. So, my question would be is like, how did the broader Austrian Roma community react to the murders? And also, you said that it wasn't only the terrorist wasn't only targeting Roma, but also other minorities. So if you can tell us like how other minorities and the majority society or like the minority society in Austria reacted to this event and the others which were illegal. Thank you.
Maybe I will comment. Just you asked a question: how Roma can cope with trauma. And in the movie, you said really very powerful words, and I saw even your emotions here when you said that this is a societal wound. Yeah, if we look at the society as in a human body, yeah, this is a societal trauma. And of course, if we understand that Roma is a part of the society, yeah, because if the body is white, Roma is not the part of the wound. Yeah? But you know, sometimes you have wound which is very small and not important. It doesn't hurt you, you know, somewhere there. So for me, is not how Roma can cope with the trauma, but when society can realize that there is the wound somewhere there. And you know, it's more broader question maybe, how can we talk in academia and identity politics are so much under attack, you know, and we cannot, here in academia, yes, we are at CU talking about those issues, but when you go to Lithuania or to other more periphery countries, you cannot even talk about that. But I wanted to say, in Eriak now there is a video and Julius Rostas talk about terminology, and there is kind of concerns regarding Romophobia, and he says Romophobia is a term really very bad because we cannot give it's a medical kind of status, and we cannot give prescriptions. Yes, we cannot give medicaments to heal them. And I think art is really a good tool and instrument to heal these traumas. And you shouldn't be so pessimistic, because your movie really very much touched me, and I think all of us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's always challenging to say anything after because, no, actually, I want to connect to the last point you said. That I do believe that, first of all, thank you for the documentary. I think it was really has a powerful message in a way too. And this may be also one of the way how do we cope with trauma in a way, and how do we make this in a way bridges and understanding better each other. I think that, as far as I understood, the movie was finished a year, 2 years ago.
Yeah. Last year.
So I think this type of documentaries should be also accessed like for the wider audiences, because this is the way how people can really connect in a way through the sufferings, or to at least try to understand the pain of those that are oppressed in a way. So thank you for that. More of that comment.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I searched also on my Facebook account. In the year 2020, the bomb attack, we had a big celebration for the victims, and I organized the celebration. It's my job in the Romapastoral, and our co-organizer was the Austrian Parliament. So it was a very big remembering ceremony. A half year before the ceremony was, I go in a school in Horváth, and we teach pupils. They were 13 and 14 years old. A half year about the bomb attacks in Austria, and the pupils built a big transparent with the name of all of the victims, and this was the background. I can't show it better now, sorry. This was the background from our showroom at the school, yes. And so they wrote every name of the 15 victims in Austria at this transparent, and the 4 names from the murderer Roma over. And yes, there were 50 victims, and I don't know how many bombs were exploded at this time. So I can show you. This transparent is now in our office in Oberwart. It's very big, so you can. And I also yes, it's okay. No, it's okay. And I also do 2 films. One film in the year 2020. We have a documentary film, but it was a little bit it's very hard to say it in English. French is much better. In 2020, I do a documentary film, and we show it in the school, and then we go with camels to the Roma settlement, and there we have the ceremony. And I also produced a film in 2050, and this film is also on the homepage of the Vienna Museum. And the problem is with these films that they don't have English undertitles. So we can't show it. Yeah, they are only in German.
For the first question.
A szélsőjobboldali terrorizmus helyett a magyar média roma gyilkosságot használ. Magyar tárgyalati irodalom roma gyilkosságoknak, vagy cigánygyilkosságoknak, ami egy két értelmű fogalom, a romák által elkövetett gyilkosság felsőt az arra is romákat, hogy gyilkolni.
Okay. Instead of far-right terrorism, the media was speaking about Roma murder. And the problem is with this two words together, Roma and murders, that it has a double meaning. So it can also mean Romani people were murdered, but it can also mean that Roma people were the murderers. And that's so typical for the Hungarian press.
A szélsőjobboldali média és a kormányzat is a romák által elkövetett bűncselekményeket és faji indítékű bűncselekményeket állítják. És ezzel relativizálják magát a terrorista bűncselekményt.
I think guys, you should know the context for this. So basically in Hungary, there was a very, very interesting precedent that when basically like after all these kinds of horrible things, many Roma communities, they were completely afraid. So they start to, organize themselves. There were people who were like guarding the community because the police didn't come out. They didn't get any kind of local protection. And basically they start to organize themselves and mobilize against that society. And one of the places, which is called Sajúkaza, yes, in Borsodabon country, northern Hungary, and there was a news that extreme rights groups will come to the Roma community. So Roma really start to prepare themselves. That we have to protect ourselves because no one will come. And when the group came, there were some kind of frictions, and they were using all kinds of tools, and one of them were keeping a kind of stick, and on the stick there was a message: all the Hungarians should die, or whatever, should be killed. So, and the Hungarian court, you won't believe, actually made a decision. So the verdict was that the Roma committed a crime, racist crimes against the Hungarians, because on the stick there was a message that all the Hungarians should be killed. So the context is that basically, and this stick was found by the police in the bush. That police find it. So whatever. You can think about that, that what kind of, connections between extreme rights, as well as the way as they basically failed to investigate the crime here, or they wanted to eliminate and so on. In this case, they find the stick, and on the stick there was this fantastic message. So therefore, they use the legislation is supposed to protect minorities, right, against racially motivated crime. Ironically, they used against Roma. So you just have to understand this kind of ambiguity, like with the same things, fully like Roma killings, Roma murders, whatever, which is basically a double edge. And in this case as well, has been repeated again and reproduced this kind of very ambiguous politics and discourse. Sorry. Az előjönnek, hogy érteni kell
Hát a romák voltak anti-magyar.
So basically, the Roma being called like anti-Hungarians, racist, right?
Ebben a perben például az ügyészség nem vállalta az erőműsvárt. Mert önálló büntetőjük fejezett a Magyarországon, az ügyészség nem foglalkozott az, hogy itt terrorista erőszak cselekmények történnek. Hát igaz? Nálunk a rasszizmus is elkerülendő fogalom a bíróság gyakorlatában. Ezt kiváltják azzal, hogy milyen ez a hogy milyen ilyen aljas indokból elkövetett bűncselekmények, és azt mondják, hogy a rasszizmus az már belefér. Ne együtt a számot.
He's answering me that the prosecutorial office itself was the one that opted against prosecuting this crime as an act of terror, and usually it shies away even from prosecuting crimes of a racial motive, and instead, well, the term that they do use is a crime of I could translate it. I don't know if there's a better legal term, but crime with despicable motive, and they argue that could potentially include racism. Mr. Horvath thinks that this was an act of terror, but the prosecutorial office in Hungary doesn't. It shies away from calling it that. Thank you so much.
Just add something because in Hungary, terrorism, I think in court can only call, but it's like bomb. No, you get on a plane and target something or something like that. So it's targeted fast. So they didn't they can changes the laws to apply terrorism.
The point which were made, and I think that is really beautiful that your film actually is very much seeing as a tool.
Yeah, certainly, and I'm like to distinguish, because I really, agree with you. So I think, yeah, those kind of things and feel like play in a novel like that can, have some effect on the individuals and on, society, but it has to, go hand in hand with the government who occasionally say, okay, we sometimes make mistakes and some is Hungary. But of course, I think we should do stuff like that. We do here and what we did this film. It's a small part, but I often say about this film, if there's only one family at one dinner who's talking about this topic,
új náci, hungarista használható. Új náci és új hungarista terrorizmus, ez fontos. Fontosabb, szélsőjobboldali, az neked válaszol. Tehát a terminológia, az egy szélsőjobboldali terrorizmus, ez nem feltétlenül fontos. Szélsőjobboldali a magyar forma.
So far right is not the exact term which we can use. New Nazi is better to describe what's happening.
Extreme right wing, the Hungarian government.
Okay, thank you so much. Very important.